Good morning, dear children. Welcome back. I am Mrs. Sithara, your social science teacher. In today's session, we will continue our learning process of Class 7, Term 3, Unit 2 in History, Art and Architecture of Tamilnadu. Dear children, this is part 4 of the video series. Come children, let us learn. Before going into today's session, let us have a recap of what we discussed in the last sessions. Dears, we learnt about the Pallava epoch. The Pallava epoch witnessed a transition from the rock-cut temples to freestanding temples. Rock-cut temples were initially built by carving a rock to the required design, and then rocks were cut to build temples. Pallava king Mahendravarman was a pioneer. Mandagathukapattu temple was the first rock-cut temple built by him. The shore temple at Mahabalipuram, also called as Seven Pagodas, was built by the Pallava king Narasimhavarman II. It is the oldest structural temple in South India. Narasimhavarman II, nicknamed as Rajasimha, built the Kanchi Kailasnatha temple. The Vaikunta Perumal temple at Kanchipuram was built by Nandivarman II. We also learned about the Pandya temples in the Pallava epoch. Early Pandyas were the contemporaries of the Pallavas. The Pandyas installed deities in the sanctums in their cave temples. You can find more than 50 cave temples. The most important of them are found in Mariyadikurichi, Animalai, Tiruparankundram and Tiruchirappalli. These caves were dedicated to Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma. Rock-cut and structural temples are a significant part of the Pandya architecture. The illustrious example of rock-cut style is the unfinished Karugamalai Vetuvan Koil temple. The Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai and Nellayappa temple at Tirunelveli represent examples of Pandya's architectural style. The walls of the caves are decorated with bas-reliefs of god and goddesses. Tiruparankundram, Animalai and Karugamalai have the bas-reliefs of many deities like Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Parvati, Subramanya, Ganapati and Dakshinamurti. The caves at Sittanvasal, 15 kilometers away from Pudukkottai, and Tirumalapuram in Sangaran Koil Taluk, Tirunelveli have outstanding early Pandya paintings. Sittanvasal was the residential cave of the Jain monks, and they painted the walls with fresco painting. The Sittanvasal paintings have similarities with the Ajanta paintings. Tirumalapuram, from where we get early Pandya paintings, are in a damaged condition. Dears, we also learnt about the early Chola epoch. The early Chola architecture followed the style of Sembian Mahadevi. Temples with the increased number of Devakoshta or figures can be classified as belonging to the Sembian style. Tirupurambiyam is an illustrious example of the early temple that was refashioned in the days of Sembian Mahadevi. In the later Chola epoch, the maturity attained by the Chola architecture is reflected in the two magnificent temples of Tanjavur and Gangai-Konda Cholapuram. At the time of big temple of Tanjavur was constructed, it was a huge temple complex. The 216 feet Vimana, that is the structure over the Garbhagriha or sanctum, is notable as it is one among the tallest man-made shikaras of the world. Due to its massive height, it is called as Dakshina Meru. You can also find a huge bull statue, that is Nandi, measuring about 16 feet long and 13 feet high, and is carved out of a single rock. The Brigadeshwara temple of the Gangai-Konda Cholapuram was built by Rajendra Chola, is undoubtedly worthy a successor to the Brigadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. The height of the temple is 55 meters. Rajaraja II also constructed Dharasuram, which is a later Chola period temple rich in architectural splendor dedicated to Airavateshwara. The Maha Mandabam is an elaborate structure. The entire structure looks like a Ratha because it has 4 wheels at the Maha Mandabam. The contributions of later Pandyas to South Indian art were significant. The cave temple at Pilliyarpatti near Karaikudi, belonging to the 13th century, is an example. This temple is important both for its sculptures and for as an inscription. A beautiful Ganesha is carved facing the entrance. It is referred to as Desi Vinayaka in the cave inscription, and that says that there are two arms with the trunk turning towards the right. Dear children, in this session we will discuss about the Vijayanagara epoch. During the Vijayanagara epoch, a new form of construction emerged. It is a mandabam or a pavilion, M-A-N-D-A-P-A-M, mandabam, to where the gods are carried every year. Pillared outdoor mandabams are meant for public rituals, with the ones in the east serving as a waiting room for devotees, which adorn the large temples. Dear children, these mandabams attract attention for the monolithic pillars. You can find the pillars there. On these pillars are sculptured horses, lions, and the gods. The Kalyana Mandabam at Kanchipuram, that is Varadaraja Perumal temple, and at Vellore, that is Jalakanteshwara temple, are notable examples. The Jalakanteshwara temple picture you can find on the screen now. It is a temple dedicated to Lord Shiva, and it stands inside the Vellore fort. It is an example of Vijayanagara architecture. It has got exquisite carvings on its goburams, richly carved stone pillars, large wooden gates, and stunning monoliths and sculptures. Main deity in the temple is Jalakanteshwara, that is Shiva resides in water, and his consort known as Akhilandeshwari Amman. Dear children, the most celebrated of these mandabams in temples of Madurai is a Pudu Mandabam. It is a valuable addition by King Thirumalai Nayakar to beautify the Meenakshi temple. The structure is built in the typical 16th century Nayak style with ornate pillars and intricate facade. The purpose was to make it the venue for the spring festival, or called as Vasanta Vira. Deities of Meenakshi Sundareshwara are kept in Pudu Mandabam for over 10 days during the season. The water from the Vaigai was facilitated through a moat during the summer season. The Mandabam depicts some of the 64 Thiruvilayadal episodes in the form of sculptures. It also houses the statues of Thirumalai Nayakar and his family and ancestors. Now let us learn about the main features of the Vijayanagar and Nayak architecture. They are decorated mandabas, ornamental pillars, life-size images, gopuras, prakaras, music pillars, floral work, and stone windows during the 15th to 16th, 17th centuries. Deer stands are attached to the temples. Gateways to temples are constructed from 4 directions with massive gopurams. The practice of fitting the niches with sculptures continued during the Nayak period. Dear children, there was an increased use of major sculpted figures or relief sculpture as found at the Alagiya Nambi temple at Tirukurangudi in Tirunelveli district, and the Gopalakrishna temple in the Ranganatha temple complex at Srirangam, the Southern Festival Mandabam of Adinatha temple at Alvar Tirunagari, and the porch of Nelliyappa temple at Tirunelveli are other notable examples. So you can find the sculptured figures at the Alagiya Nambi temple at Tirukurangudi and Gopalakrishna temple in the Ranganatha temple complex at Srirangam, the Southern Festival Mandabam of Adinatha temple at Alvar Tirunagari, and the porch of Nelliyappa temple at Tirunelveli. Dear children, you can see the picture of the Mandabam of Adinatha temple at Alvar Tirunagari. What you see on the picture is a hall with the Yaris, which is a mythical creature seen in many South Indian temples, which is often sculpted onto the pillars. It may be part lion, part elephant, and part horse. Dear children, in Tamilnadu, the image of deities attached to the composite columns gradually freed themselves from the core column. The 1,000-pillar Mandabam of the Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple, Pudu Mandabam at Madurai, Radhi Mandabam at Tirukurandudi, and Vanamamalai temple at Nanguneri are illustrious examples for the Mandabam architecture of this period. So you can find the 1,000-pillar Mandabam of Meenakshi Amman temple, then Radhi Mandabam at Tirukurandurai, and Vanamamalai temple at Nanguneri are examples of Mandabam architecture. On the picture you can see the 1,000-pillar Mandabam Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple. Dear children, the pillars of this period are more decorative than the previous period. You can find monolithic, gigantic Yari pillars, horse pillars with life-size portraits of mythological and royal family members, common folk, animals and floral works were made. Musical pillars were the peculiar feature of this time. A sitting lion at the top of the pillar is a common feature in the mandapams. The windows are carved out on the walls of the sanctum and mandapams. The Jalagandashwara temple at Vellore, the temples at Thadikompa near Dindigal and Krishnapuram near Tirunelveli, and the Subramania shrine in the big temple of Tanjavur are most remarkable edifices of this time. So you can find the beautiful structures in Jalagandeshwara temple at Vellore, temples at Thadikompa near Dindigal, Krishnapuram temple near Tirunelveli and Subramania shrine in the big Tanjavur temple are examples. You can also find the Vijayanagar and Naik paintings are seen at the Varadaraja Perumal temple at Kanchipuram, Kodaradagar temple at Madurai and the temples of Srivilliputturu, Tiruvellare, Azhagar Kovil, Tiruvannamalai and Srirangam. The paintings mostly have the stories from Ramayana, palace scenes as well as mythological stories. The pictures given here shows the sculptures in the Varadaraja temple of Kanchipuram district. Before winding up today's session, let us have a recap of what we learned here. We learned that the Vijayanagara epoch, a new form of construction had emerged. It was a mandapam or pavilion to where the gods were carried every year. The mandapams attract attention for its monolithic pillars, which sculptured horses, lions and gods. The Kalyana Mandapam at Kanchipuram at Varadaraja Perumal temple and Vellore Jalagandeshwara temple are examples. The main features of Vijayanagar and Naik architecture are decorated mandaps, ornamental pillars, life-size images, gopuras, prakaras, music pillars, floral works and stone windows. Tanks were attached to the temple and gateways to temple are constructed from 4 directions with massive gopurams. The practice of fitting the niches with sculptures continued during the Naik period. You can also find monolithic gigantic Yari pillars, horse pillars with life-size portraits of mythological and royal family members, common folk, animals and floral works. The music pillars were also a peculiar feature of this period. Dear children, in the next session we will discuss about the modern period, that is AD 1600 after. Worksheet time. Worksheet number 4. Roman number 1. Fill in the blanks. Question number 1. Azhagiya Nambi temple situated at dash. Azhagiya Nambi temple is situated at dash. Question number 2. Later Chola period was known for beautiful dash. Later Chola period was known for beautiful dash. Question number 3. Vijayanagar's period's unique feature is a dash. Vijayanagar period's unique feature is a dash. Roman number 2. Answer the following. Highlight the striking features of Rameshwaram temple. Highlight the striking features of Rameshwaram temple. That's all for today's session, my dear children. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Samacheer Kalvi Guide.